wanted to take the time to share with you guys the broken but built thought process for me. So, as I have said in the past, I've geared it towards more people being physically broken, right? Like an injury or something like that. But a lot of us are broken in a lot of different ways, right? It's one of those things where, you can be emotionally broken, you can be physically broken, you can be spiritually broken, you can be undefined, right? There's just something that just, you woke up one day and things weren't the same, right? And because we live in this society of instant gratification, and we want to get everything right the first time, and all this perfectionism and stuff, it is really hard to express that sometimes. Is that you wake up one day and you're just like, I don't feel right. And it might be in your heart, it might be in your head, it might be in your body, right? But to accept the fact that as we get older, people can get broken in a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying I'm an absolute authority on every way to fix yourself, right? But if you're feeling spiritually broken, you probably should get your butt to church, or at least spend some time in the Word, whatever that word is for you. Not everybody's Christian or Buddhist or whatever. Um, but if you're feeling physically broken, maybe it's time to, and as like the blue collar guys, man, I hated going to the doctor because, like my granddad said, every time I go, they find something wrong with me. That's kind of the freaking point. Figure out what's wrong with you. You might have a hormone imbalance, or an infection, or God, so many people that I've talked to that had these I don't feel good thing found out that they had like stage 2 cancer, and they'd just been trudging along, right? And they could have been found it at stage 1 and had better odds at beating it, or a less ugly road to beating it. Especially as blue collar guys, we tend to lean into the different types of nicotine and caffeine, and take a couple of Aleve or Tylenol, and we just get through the day. Every day is another day. But don't take those intuitional experiences where you wake up and you're like, man, something's off. You could have a blood pressure issue. You could have be on the verge of having a heart attack and just don't know it, right? So um, listen to that small voice in your head when you can't always just take a couple of Tylenol and just pretend like nothing happened or nothing's wrong. That being said, if you're emotionally broken, probably should go see a therapist. And and God knows finding a good therapist is like going on blind dates, and you kind of have to share and be vulnerable and with a complete stranger, and you have to do it a couple of times till you find one that isn't a total, that speaks to you in a way that you're comfortable with, or that they share similar viewpoints, so they're not going to steer you down a path that's contradictory to your life experience, or how you feel fundamentally as a person. um, and if you're a highly self-opinionated asshole, that like me, that's going to take some time to find somebody that's going to, hey, it's this and this, and you're like, yeah, well, that was obvious, let's talk about something that's deeper. And it's one of those things, you should just be able to find ways to take care of yourself, and don't be ashamed in taking care of yourself. And sometimes you need to be a little bit greedy with your recovery, right? Like, you get hurt, you need to stop trying to be Superman for a minute, or Superwoman for a minute, and sort it out. And if that's sitting on an ice pack, if that's finding one of the hundreds of different ways to see a therapist, if that's you taking 15 minutes to get your nose in whatever your spirituality exercises are, do it. Set an alarm, wake up 15 minutes earlier so you can do it. I used to get the most out of my Bible when I would drive to work, and then I would show up to work early, and then I would do my devotionals and stuff in the cab of my truck before I went into work. And then and because those materials were still in my truck, when I would get home from work, I would revisit some stuff, or just try to use the Bible or my devotionals to get my game face on to go deal with the hell that was waiting for me at home. And it's one of those, I haven't talked about it a whole lot, but it's one of those things. Like I was in one of those relationships where, um, when I was married, right? Like I would put in a 12 or 14 or 16-hour day or longer sometimes. And then I would get home from work and it was like I would have to move into another battle. It was another, I'd walk through the door. You need to go walk the dog. So walk the dog so we could go do all this stuff. And then walk the dog. And then there was some miracle that needed to be performed, like the washing machine soaked up a baby sock, or somebody dropped a rock down the garbage disposal or something. And because I'm mechanically inclined and stuff, I can do stuff like that. But it was just always like before I got to rest, sit down, unwind or whatever, I had this unknown list of things that I would have to do when I get home, and so sometimes I would take that time in my truck when I got home, sometimes it was 45 minutes to unwind from work, get my game face on, and then go in and deal with the stuff that I had going on in the house. And I'm not necessarily recommending it, but if it helps, it helps. Um, and it's so as we move into like this new year, right? I need to, and take my advice. I'm not fucking using it. Um, to take time to take care of themselves, wherever that obstacle or that struggle is. It's important, right? You only get one life to live, and if you're always hanging on by your fingernails, and it's not supposed to be like that. And yes, when you're the man, especially if you're the man, right? Everybody, you're the rock for everybody else. But at some point, enough water washes over that rock to make it smooth, to make it crack, and you're not any use to anybody if you're not being taking care of yourself. So just keep that in mind as we go into this new year. Find ways to take care of yourself. All right. I can't emphasize the power in that enough. And like I said, I didn't do it for 20 years, and I ended up with, a broken marriage, a broken back, relationship, and I didn't have a whole lot of relationships around me, especially, for the majority of that time. Like, I had friends, right? But they all lived in different states. We talked to maybe once or twice a year, and now, I put in that effort, and, I got friends I talk to every day, every week, to keep me grounded, right? And to stay hooked up with other people. Because when you don't do life alone, right? Helping other people with their problems helps you with your problems, or at least it helps you get out of the fixation mode of trying to solve your own problems. Because it's one of those things, if you've just sat there and stared at the problem for so long that you can't see a way out of it, right? Having somebody to help with their problems, um, allows you to take your mind off your stuff. And if your mind's not buried on your stuff, you might actually come back to it with quote unquote fresh eyes, fresh ears, or the person that you're spending time with, helping them, oftentimes will have some sort of strange epiphany to apply to your problems. And if you're in the practice of sharing your story with people, and listening to other people's stories about their lives, there's wisdom to be had there, folks. There just is. So lean in, listen, choose to, you don't necessarily have to have the never met a stranger approach to people. But if you've got close friends that don't know something about you, fix that. Share a story. Say, hey, let's go get some coffee. I'm dealing with something, and I think it might be rooted to X, or not the X, but to X, Y, or Z. Dig into it. Find a way to be vulnerable. And I've said it before: being vulnerable with the right people, it's like a superpower, because those people will offer help or offer suggestions that'll change your life. And you need to be around people that are willing to help you change your life for the better, hopefully. Um, but as always, guys, like, subscribe, share, and check out the Stand Store. Check out, for the books and all of the coachings and stuff like that. I've got time, and I'm willing to share it with you guys. All right, love you guys. We'll see you next time.